One internship really changed my life from like hardware to software and software to cloud.
What do you think are the essential skills or certification required for this role?
I did not apply for Google because I was always so scared.
It's done. And no matter the result, we don't care about the result.
I'll be mad if I say no.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Piyush. Today, we have a special guest with us, Vishakha. Hello, Vishakha. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here. And it's a privilege to be a part and share my journey with the community today.
No, no, thank you for accepting my invite and giving it a thought and having to share with the community. It's 6 a.m. Both our time, so it's not easy to do that while you're working full time and it's Friday. It's not even a weekend, so I really appreciate your commitment to the community. So, Vishaka, why don't we start with your introduction in your own words?
Absolutely. And good thing it's Friday, so we can take our day off like later on. But so a little bit about me, as you said my name, right? My name is Vishakha. I'm a cloud architect working with Google for almost 3.5 years now. Prior to Google, I was working as a cloud engineer at AWS and has been like I've been in this cloud industry for a while. I entered in the US around 2016 as a student and had a different journey altogether. Wanted to join or work as a VLSI engineer, totally like, dedicated to the hardware industry. But then things happened. I switched gears and I entered into software. And then just, when I got into cloud, I was like, I'm not leaving this space until I feel like I have had my part enough. But yes,
That's
that's a
amazing.
bit of about me here.
That's amazing to know. So you started your career as a hardware engineer. So how was that transition like from being a hardware engineer to being in the software and cloud industry?
So yeah, so a bit backstory around it. I was pursuing hardware engineering. I was a student in India, directly came after my bachelor's. So I did not have like any real world exposure as an engineer. But I
Hmm.
was still like I was just making sure that I know uh, I'm pursuing things that I really I'm interested around or passionate around. So hardware engineering was that path that I thought I could. But when I entered here, I started like, ramping up with the newer education system, and it wasn't as easy as it looks like. Uh, the job market is different, the demand is different, and being a junior level engineer entering into this field was a hard nut to crack. That's why I decided to just pursue some courses during my master's that would take me into the software engineering lane and give me more opportunities altogether.
Okay.
And during one of the internships, I just found out that yeah, I can actually, be a part of an industry and try to put myself adapt into the latest technology stack, and that was cloud back then.
Hmm.
So one internship really changed my life from like hardware to software and software to cloud.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a bit about it.
That's great. So you just have to start somewhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big tag, big hotshot company. It can be just an internship. You just need a start, and then you find your way through it, right? So that's how you did. That's amazing to know. So, Vishaka, you mentioned you work as a cloud architect with Google. So, what does a cloud architect actually do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. So, a little bit of a background of this role. This is the cloud architect is also known as customer engineering in Google,
Hmm.
and the strong focus is on pre-sales.
Okay.
And when I say in pre-sales, we are acting as like a bridge between customers, sales team, and also like the internal product and engineering teams. We are like
Hmm.
basically the technical glue.
Yeah.
And prior to Google, I was working as in a post-sales capacity. So I was mostly converting or translating technical requirements into technical solutions. Entering into pre-sales, I started doing business requirements into technical solutions. So that was kind
Okay.
of the switch here in
Hmm.
this role. So there was like a lot of learning path as well, and to go back to your question around day to day, this is more of like, we start with discovering or gathering the technical requirements or business requirements of the customer. It could be anything they're implementing. For instance, we are in the AI era, so they could really come up with some use cases, that is like how they can integrate uh, a chatbot into their application, right? Like a simple use case. Our job, or my job as a custom engineer or cloud architect here, is to design the pipeline, design that solution, keeping the system design concepts in mind around reliability, scalability, performance. And then from the point of like gathering requirements to building like an architecture for them using the cloud services, to overseeing the implementation of it like in the production environments. So that's like my day-to-day job. It
Okay.
starts with a lot of engagements, it starts with a lot of communication with internal teams, and I'll pause here.
No, that's really insightful. That's really great to know. So, there is no one cloud service or one cloud domain that you work with. So, customer might come up with any requirement whatsoever, and you should be aware of it at least. Or if you are not really a master of it, then you should be quick enough to engage someone who is an SME in that particular area. And so customer, so you should be able to get back to the customer as quickly as possible with a possible solution or with a proof of concept, right? So is it fair to say that it's more of a journalist role instead of a specialist role?
So that's where I was going into. It's a generalist role, but at the same time, there are specific specializations within this title.
Okay.
So I specialize in application modernization and infrastructure AI. So what
Okay.
it does is like I now focus in like one niche, and that
Hmm.
is more of the DevOps niche, I would say. And like with
Okay.
AI, how is it like? How are these models being deployed? How are these models being served? What's the
Hmm.
underlying
Hmm.
platform infrastructure, and how
Hmm.
can I design it for the
Hmm.
customer? So the role is basically a mix. It's you need to be a generalist, but then also it's a T level thing, right? You need
Okay.
to know the platform, but
Yep.
also you need
T
to be
level.
very specialized in a particular
Hmm.
niche. So
Yep.
that's where I come in.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So, what do you think are the essential skills or certification required for this role, or like what helped you get this role?
So for me, I was already in the cloud industry, and
Mm.
I'll go back to that time when I was entering into cloud and what
Mm-hmm.
kind of skills really worked out for me in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was picking up projects, right? Like in your company, you may be in like a software engineering capacity, or like you might be in data, or some other niche within the platform. But it was more around like picking up more cloud projects, understanding how things work within this, this umbrella term cloud.
Mm-hmm.
There are service models, there are deployment models. So picking projects like migration projects, or
Mm-hmm.
like converting or translating a monolithic application into microservices. So
Mm.
those were the key projects that really helped me. And like I
Okay.
said, that one internship where I did one of the migration
Mm.
projects
Mm.
helped me crack the next level of interviews.
Mm.
And certification wise, I'm a strong believer that you don't need to take certifications just to add it to your LinkedIn. You need to take certification so that you get the structure, so that when you're presenting yourself in an interview, you know where to begin, you know
Mm.
what are the components that you should know in order to crack that interview, right? So that's where I take certifications in. A lot of things other than that were hackathons. I participated in few, got some good gifts, technical
Mm.
wins there. And
Mm-hmm.
it just I bundled all these
Okay.
experiences before to get into this industry.
So it
And
was a mix
yeah,
of
that's it.
everything. So you
It was
said
a
that.
mix of
Mm.
everything.
Yeah. Go on.
And
Go
I,
on,
I would
please.
specifically, I cannot stress further on like the projects, because the
Mm.
more you work on like cloud
Mm.
projects,
Mm.
uh, this role is not an entry level engineering role.
Okay.
You start
Okay.
as
You
a
answered
cloud
my next
engineer.
question as well. So it's not an entry level role. Yes.
Cloud architect is, yes, it's a bit of like a mid-level career. You need to have some hands-on experience within the cloud industry, and that could be from You come from a post-sale side where you have done implementation, where you have deployed those CI/CD pipelines or deployed
Mm-hmm.
those Kubernetes clusters,
Mm-hmm.
and now you are coming to a part where you are basically you can architect those with, and like there could be different requirements, different
Mm-hmm.
industries, right? Like cybersecurity industry might have a different requirement versus what an AIML startup would have.
Mm-hmm.
So as an architect, you need to be able to understand both sides of it, or if you're industry focus, even like drill into it like that. So that's my experience here. That it's not an entry level.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to get some experience somehow. Either you become a cloud engineer, junior cloud engineer, and if you have certain projects that can contribute to this role,
Mm-hmm.
that's great because more projects, more experience, and
Yeah.
more, it's more easy for you to go through the interview
Mm-hmm.
properly and crack it.
Okay, so to summarize, project is the most important part while getting into this role, or specifically any other role in the cloud industry as well. So the more projects you will do, the more hands-on experience you will have, the more chances you have. And then you mentioned certifications, and we are on the same page on this one as well. Certification is not just to brag about yourself on LinkedIn. Yes, bragging is good, but then you have to understand its true value. The true value of certifications lies in the learning that you get from it. And yes, you get some extra weightage while your resume is getting shortlisted, but that's everything. Rest, it's all your projects. Rest is all your. And then you also mentioned hackathons, community contributions. These things also help. These things also highlight your career, and put yourself in front of prospect recruiters and hiring managers, and you are a live example of that, how it helped you. So I'm on to my next question. I'm already enjoying this conversation. So the next question that I have is, you mentioned this role is
Me
called
too.
cloud architect, and then you also mentioned that in Google it's also called customer engineer. But in other organizations and within Google as well, there are different other names to this role. So there is solution architect, there is solution consultant or cloud consultants. So how does these roles, are they same, or are they different in some sense, or what is that?
So it is like the titles are different and it depends on like what are the requirements of that particular company, right? So for instance, like I said, in Google, it's more of like pre-sales cloud architect role or pre-sales technical architect role where you work with the customer first mindset.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, in like another company where it could be named as enterprise solutions architect, then you are associated not with customers, but you're associated with projects. And I may or may not be right because I've not worked in that capacity, but it's more of like the overall essence of it is that you need to be able to design solutions using the cloud services.
Okay.
Or if you're on a senior principal architect role or a enterprise architect role, then the expectations are more. Then you
Yeah.
have to be able to do more contributions towards these designs. You would have
Mm.
to work with more product teams to uh, help them with the roadmap and then do documentation, build blueprints, write white papers. All those are the things that comes in with these like senior level roles as well. But the overall essence is as long as you are familiar and comfortable in explaining system design or apply system design in a cloud platform,
Mm.
you can be an architect and you
Okay.
can go for these roles if you're comfortable applying those skills.
Okay. So
So
system
that's
design is
like
also
a
an important skill for
summary of
this
it.
role.
100%. It's like
Okay.
it's more than important. It's very crucial for candidates to understand that uh, you know cloud in general, it's
Mm-hmm.
more of like how you can apply these system design skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how you can achieve reliability, scalability, and there's like these all pillars that are
Mm-hmm.
the essence of why a cloud platform is better than any other
Mm-hmm.
on-prem or bare metal service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the reasons that system design skills are very, very essential to have.
Okay. Okay. Amazing. So the next question that I have, and I'm sure most of the college students and most of the early professionals would also have, is DSA crucial for this role, or is there a DSA round when it comes to interviewing for a cloud architect role? Not specifically to Google, but in general.
So the DSA is not required as like how it's required for software engineers,
Hmm.
uh, and but it is important to have that understanding, because eventually it's more of like how do you apply these DSA concepts into system designing.
Hmm.
So those are the key things that you have to understand. You may or may not even have a coding round, or you
Hmm.
may not require to code daily in this, like with this title, but having that understanding is crucial. So there could be like companies who would have an assessment round where coding would be one of those,
Hmm.
and you have to have the knowledge of how to do certain kind of task, or string manipulation, or like linked list kind of like operations. So it's not a must have, but it's a good to have skill.
Hmm.
But at the same time, when you proceed further in your career and you realize how everything is like connected, then you realize that yeah, DSA really served value later on. So I would
Okay.
say it's a good to have skill, yes,
It's a good to have skill. Okay.
and good to have
And
knowledge.
so yeah, because when it comes to DSA or coding, even though as a cloud architect you won't be doing the actually application deployment, but most of the times that when you are working with a POC for the customers, and they want to implement a certain use case, then you may be writing some, let's say, Python notebooks, or you'll be writing some pipelines, so you will still be coding at some capacity. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is right. So having, even like with these roles like cloud architect, I always stress around like programming is required.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of like familiarity with any programming language will be great for this role. Reason being, the use cases are different, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like since it's a customer for mind, you work with a customer mindset,
Mm-hmm.
how they are working, how they're implementing solutions. So you should be able to fit into that. When they're asking you a question, if you cannot understand the context, or
Mm-hmm.
when you don't know how to interpret it and help them in finding the right solution,
Mm-hmm.
that's when things get difficult. So getting that context through this forum, from understanding like how these programming languages work, or what's like the underlying principle, what are the concepts that you need to know,
Mm-hmm.
is very important, because eventually, like I said, as a customer engineer, also I have to do a technical discovery, have to build on use cases, run POCs, build a demo. And if a customer provides me a certain use case and I have to build a demo, I need
Mm-hmm.
to know a lot of
Yep.
things there. It
True.
would be a mix of scripting, it would be a mix of coding, and it would be a mix of system design. So
Yep.
that's like, multiple components playing a part there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. So you mentioned about projects, right? You did a lot of emphasis on projects. So, and you also mentioned app modernization, cloud migration. These were the some important projects that helped you. So, what kind of practical projects or experience do you think are highly valued for this role, and how someone can implement that? You had an internship, so you get to work on those things over there. But someone who's not working but who is preparing for this role, how can someone do the hands-on on these kind of projects?
Absolutely. So this is something I really uh, share with my community as well on LinkedIn, like how you can build projects, use the free resources. There's so many, portals. Like one as you have given so many nice projects to so many individuals. So use portals to build on these projects. So the projects could vary, right? Like
Mhm.
so there could be migration projects, like you're migrating from on-prem to cloud. Again, this
Mhm.
cannot be something that someone who's not working would get exposure to, but understanding like how to assess these things, these are everything is like available over like GitHub repos, where you can just understand what the flow is in case
Mhm.
questions come in. Then for new grads, or like for people who are just entering into this field, projects around setting up a pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline. Because if you think about it, cloud is on the infrastructure as a service layer, right? So you need to get into a lot of details around DevOps as well. Uh, as like because cloud is a part of DevOps is
Mhm.
like the culture, and like
Mhm.
it's the umbrella term, right? So cloud also is a part of it. So if you want to look into details around it, like, for instance, setting up Kubernetes clusters, or diving deep into these buckets, like I put it into buckets always. It's
Mhm.
like, they in within DevOps, there's like the CI/CD bucket,
Mhm.
infrastructure as a provisioning bucket, then there's like the containerization bucket. All have different use cases, all have different scenarios that it solves. So how do you provision infrastructure with a script? How can you repeat it? What does change management do?
Mhm.
Like, all these things become like more easy to comprehend and explain once you deploy a project,
Mhm.
because now you think it in like that sense.
Mhm.
Same as CI/CD, like how does the triggering works from like committing the code to deploying it into different environments. Going into containerization, like how do you really provision a cluster and run application in form of containers. So projects like these would really sum up, and they would first give you again a lot of talking points.
Mhm.
Second, it will give you like some heavy items to put on your resume, because now the recruiters know that you know these technology.
Mhm.
And again, if you're not focused on DevOps, you also have other things like in AIML as well. You have certain projects. You can also do data pipelines, like create ETL pipelines,
Mhm.
show the entire workflow. Uh, there's a combination of all these things. One other project that I've been kind of stressing on a lot these days, it's because we have to upskill. We are in the AI era, and
Mhm.
so getting more into ML ops, understanding like how the pipeline works from like data preparation to model deployments, right? That's also very crucial around this time. So
Okay.
if like if you want to enter into this field, you need to uh, be aware of like what were the basic concepts, basic fundamentals. On
Mhm.
top of it, get these projects in so that you get some experience as well to
Okay.
explain those concepts
Okay.
altogether.
Okay. That's amazing. So you have explained everything, like what I wanted to ask in that. So the next question is about your interview experience with Google for Cloud Architect role. So tell me about how did it happen? Like, did you apply for the role or did they reach out to you about the interview process? How many rounds were there and so on? All those things.
Absolutely, this is the best part, because I had written something about this few days back, that I did not apply for Google because I was always so scared of the brand, the name, that I felt like that imposter syndrome kept kicking in. Even though I was working with AWS, and
Mm-hmm.
I had like good amount of like experience around cloud engineering, but still I was never into doing something out of normal, and that is applying to Google. And fortunately, a recruiter reached out, and they asked me if I would be interested in interviewing, and I was like, I'll be mad if I say no. And that's when it just the that recruiter was really the key of getting me into this particular company. And then uh, regarding the interviews, it started with like, again, the recruiter reached out, so there's an initial screening round where they ask you about certain questions around technologies, and it's directly they dive into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a question, like a quiz round where they will ask you about certain things, multiple choice question around few technologies, and they rate you around that. If you are above that threshold, they move you to the second round. Or if they don't feel like the services enough or technologies enough, then they will expect you to wait for a little while,
We'll
right,
get
before you
back to you.
reapply. We'll get back to your email. And yes, the second round is more around. It depends. It
Mm-hmm.
depends around the second round, and it could be an assessment round. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a coding round where they would just give you some kind of a coding challenge you have to crack. Going further, it gets more technically dense when you move further into this. And it's called role based knowledge or role related knowledge round,
Mm-hmm.
RRKs. And these are the rounds where it's a whiteboarding session. So you have a whiteboard with you when you are presenting, and you have to show your technical presentation skills, as well as the interviewers would ask you in-depth questions. They'll give you scenarios that you have to present on the whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
And this is again my experience. Things might have changed now, but when I was interviewing, I was asked to keep a whiteboard with me when for to prepare for this round, and I had to make sure everything is visible to them. Like, and I can also, like, I had to practice a lot how I'm uh, making, or like, making sure my writing is not uh, totally ununderstandable, like they cannot interpret anything from my writing, versus also being able to explain the concepts that I'm drawing on the board, right? So that was the part where they dive into a lot of other concepts, like full design concepts, like how, what would be the journey of a request if you think about it, from like hitting the your CDN to hitting your load balancer, and this is like after they have hit the URL and things have, like, things are going further down the lane around the backend infrastructure, how does the application works, and then going into more into Kubernetes, because I was into DevOps, so I was heavily tested on Kubernetes, if I say that,
Okay.
if I'm doing justice with that word heavy here. From understanding the fundamentals to understanding like how you can schedule pods, how you can taint pods, or how does these like node affinity, node anti-affinity works, and all those things were really like the key focus of that round. Going further, it's more of like the next few rounds are a little more around uh, your behavioral skills, googliness we call it, and it's a lot of preparation around how you will collaborate, how you would how you're working with teammates, what was your previous experience, and once you clear all those rounds, you go into team matching phase, and you are basically interviewing with the managers. So for me, I interviewed with 8 managers, and
Wow.
because I had like this location open, that yeah, I'm ready to work anywhere. So the recruiter really wanted me to find the right team, and the team to find the right candidate, right?
Mm.
So there were few team matching in the team matching phase as well. I entered into this mini kind of like tech interview, where there were questions asked that about my experience and my understanding around technology. So that's like a summary of like what those 2 weeks looked like, but it's more dense than it's on the
Yeah.
surface right now. Really amazing experience, because the recruiters were like, they are they are your partners, just they are the best folks to help you, to guide you, they prepare you,
Mhm.
they set you up for the next stage. So really work well with the recruiters if you are interviewing for these roles.
That's so amazing, and that's so enlightful journey that you have shared with us, with everyone. I'm sure it will be an inspiration for many of us. So yes, if I were to summarize from your interview experience, system design in must in each and every phase, be it a whiteboarding session, be it the technical interview or the RRK round, it's a must. There is no escape from it. And then yes, coding, you should be able to read and debug the code. If not the application development, you should have, I would say, basic to medium level of understanding of any programming language. And then you also mentioned about uh, different behavioral scenarios, whiteboarding skills. So yes, you should be good at creating those architectural diagrams or transforming concept into the picture, right? So that you should be able to explain what you were trying to do. So yeah, that's and that sounds like an wholesome experience, and
That's a
i
spot
i
on.
to- I totally understand what you must have gone through with these interview rounds over the 2 weeks. For me, it was little different. For me, it was all the rounds in a single day, back to back. I got a break of 10 minutes between each rounds, and then I had 4 to 5 rounds back to back. So after the end of last interview, I was like, I don't want to see any computer. I don't want to see anyone. I'm going out. I'm going out for a walk now. I need some alone time for myself. So yeah, I understand it could be but at the end, once you are done with it, there is a sigh of relief that
You,
yes, it's done. And no matter the result, we don't care about the result at that time. We are just glad that it's done.
yeah, it happened. we are just glad that at least it happened, and
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
a
it
chance
happened.
to
Yes.
present ourselves in this, like in this world
True.
of technology. So I am like, I resonate with everything that you said, but like only part was my interview. I made sure I'm breaking it into weeks, or because I was working as well and I couldn't just take one day
Hmm.
to prepare. So thanks for sharing your journey as well. And
Yeah.
I know you've been there, done that. So you have
I
your own journey to share.
Yeah, actually, I like Google was something that I got, but there were interviews that did not got me the jobs. Those interviews were Amazon interview experience. I've shared my interview journey with Amazon in another video, but it to summarize, it was like for the 3 years, I've applied for so many roles: solution architect, cloud consultant, DevOps engineer, DevOps senior DevOps engineer, support engineer. There were so many roles I've applied. I've interviewed for many of those, but I never really got the offer. But I kept trying for those 3 years. I kept giving interviews for Amazon, and the thing that I've just mentioned that I've gone through with Google in a single day, I have gone through multiple times with AWS, multiple times. So it's but that helped me.
That
The,
prepared you for this.
yes, that
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
helped me.
exactly.
That helped me to have the patience. That helped me to keep learning, keep upskilling, and keep preparing, no matter what, no matter the results. Keep giving interviews and keep applying. So that helped a lot. I am truly grateful for those opportunities
Yes,
as well.
agreed. And one advice I would give is like, when things like this happen, where you have prepared so hard for an interview and it doesn't go well, or per your expectation, it's like to just pick on the things that did not go well, because we
Yes.
internally we do realize what
Mm.
things are like required for this role
Mm-hmm.
and what didn't work.
Yep.
So that is one of the key things, where if you pick those things, adapt
Mhm.
onto that, and then apply it for your next interview, that's the key way to find your job, your next gig in your life, right? So that has really helped me. My Amazon interview was something very different, but that's another story to share some other time. But yes, I'll let you summarize this.
Okay, awesome. So, any other tips you have for the viewers who are preparing for interviews, not just for cloud architect role, but specifically in the cloud and DevOps domain? Any tips, any preparation material, or anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, so the kind of advice I would like to give is like, to different people having like different sorts of experience. If you are an entry level or a new joiner, you just graduated, there are a lot of things that you might have to set up in order to get into this role. It's like picking up a cloud platform, for instance, or like ensuring that you are uh, preparing or upskilling in only one platform first, rather than getting overwhelmed picking up multiple. And then also adding into it, like there are a lot of other skills, like you need to understand software delivery life cycle. I know we are living in an era where like software engineering is not the most in demand role, but like there are software engineering concept is still, it's still a must, even if you're preparing for an ML engineering role, because eventually you will be exposed to that. You will be exposed to those kind of skills, right? Getting understanding of, like, if you're applying for a company, you should be looking at a lot of into a lot of the details around it. Use these, the great chatbots we have, like the AI based chatbots, to understand the key requirements of a company and how you can map your resume with these key requirements. So it really prepares you how to present altogether, what like the recruiter or like the hiring manager is looking out for. uh, in terms of like skills, with respect to DevOps, again, like I said, knowing these buckets, right? Like infrastructure as provisioning tools like Terraform, CloudFormation from AWS, to understanding like another bucket like CI/CD. The entire pipeline, if you can set it up by yourself through projects, end to end, like use GitLab actions and like all these tools to streamline these processes. Get into containers, understand why containers exist, start from that, like from going to the basics of Docker. Don't invest a lot of time in mastering a skill, but understanding a skill. That's the key. move on to the next, move on like containers, move on to container management. So these are top buckets. One other bucket is like observability. These are like, monitoring, logging, alerting. Again, when you're interviewing for a cloud engineer or a cloud architect role, you need to have like a full understanding of all these buckets, right? And then being able to explain it in a way that the interviewer also can pick few things from your experience. So I would say just like, along with the technical skills, there are a lot of other skills as well, like soft skills. Yeah, you need prepare yourself as if you're going for these roles. There are a lot of customer facing roles, and that's where a lot of opportunities are. If you're preparing yourself around it, you might get more interviews as well, like presenting skills. How can you like these, the technical presentation skills, like I said, uh, communication, how you are explaining certain things. So yeah, that's like a bit of like, I think I've given a lot of my 2 cents out there, my pearls of wisdom, but hope whoever is listening can pick something valuable from this.
Wow, that's a lot of information. I wish I could have summarized everything that you have just said, but you have mentioned a lot of things, a lot of valuable, important lessons that you have just taught us today. And I'm sure whoever is watching the video is making notes, or I mean, they can just go back and see the entire conversation. But in a word, if I had to summarize, so start with the fundamentals. I mean, this is what we have discussed in the entire podcast today. So start with the fundamentals, be strong in that. Basic system design, basic, at least a basic coding knowledge and hands-on experience. Build projects, build more projects. The more projects you build, the more hands-on experience you will get, and the more chances of getting interview calls and even eventually getting the offer letters. Participate in community events, hackathons, open source contribution. That will also help you. And then work on your soft skills, your presentation skills. Again, creating architectural diagram or transforming a concept into a diagram, that will help you no matter what the role is. That will always help you. And then system design, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but system design is one of the most crucial aspect of this role or every role in software engineering. System design, like read white papers, go through the publications, go through the research papers, and try to make sense of what's there. Even if you are not able to do the hands on for certain specific areas, you should be able to read in depth white papers around those topics. And I'm not sure if I've covered everything, but
And
yeah, keep trying. And go ahead, please.
if one addition would be newsletters.
Newsletters.
Newsletters are great, and use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has like a bunch of folks who are very experienced professionals, and they share a lot of their insight through these newsletters. So use the free resources. I propose a lot around using things that are in the community than paying for courses and doing things. Yes, paying for certain courses is worth it and it's valuable, but resources like newsletters, GitHub repos, where people have like really structured it in a way that it's easy for you to comprehend, use it and apply it.
That's good. Yeah.
That's like again another 2 cents.
That's good. That's good to share. Yes, LinkedIn is a great resource if you are following the right people. If you are, uh, following what matters, because there is a lot of noise out there as well, right? But then there are people like yourself who share valuable content, who share helpful content. Actually, this is how we got connected, because I saw one of your LinkedIn posts, and then we connected afterwards. So thank you for sharing all those valuable material and everything with the community. So I will link down your LinkedIn and like how people can connect with you for any question, for any doubts they have. Plus, yes, they can also comment on this video and we can reply them. But yeah, I wish this session couldn't have ended. We were really having a good, insightful conversation, but then we have to end it somewhere. So I think this is the right time to end it. Any last word that you have to say, Vishaka?
Yeah.
Or it was a pleasure meeting you. And again, thank you so much for your time. I'll give it over to you if you have any last question or any last comments.
Yeah, I'll shamelessly plug on my newsletters. It's coming up, and I don't know when this video
Awesome.
would be broadcasted, but like, I'm creating a resource for the folks because I've been getting a lot of messages around roadmaps. So I'm plugging it here. It's
Awesome.
more of like, roadmaps, how you prepare, what are the resources that you can use. It's again providing a little bit of structure around different specialities within cloud. It could be cloud networking, cloud
Mm.
security, cloud DevOps, cloud data analytics. So stay tuned, and yeah, I'm like, I look forward to connecting with more folks and helping them, or like even learning from them. Thanks
That
for
is
having me
awesome.
here, Piyush.
That is awesome, and all the best, Vishaka. I wish you all the success for your newsletter. So once you publish it, just share it with me, and I will link down in the description section so that people will subscribe, and they can get valuable insight directly in their inbox. So thank you so much for sharing that as well. And yeah, thank you. I wish you have a good day, and we'll stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush. Take care.